Recorded at the Rec W in Chillicothe, Ohio. This is the Ohio Vibe Entertainment Podcast. Each episode will feature an Ohio-based band, musician, comedian, actor, or other entertainer. If you would like to appear on the podcast, email us at submissions@theohiovibe.com. Submissions@theohiovibe.com. On this episode, we welcome our friend Todd Snowden, owner and operator of wedding and event venue Creekside Occasions.
It was a comedian that was, when you're flipping through TikTok and everything, and he was sitting there, he's like, man, it's so hot out. He goes, it's that be courteous and do 2 swipes of deodorant before you leave the house type day and everything. And I was like, you know what? He's right, man.
Yeah. So, and we were talking about before, it's dangerous to get here with the roads.
Yeah.
So,
right. And there was 3 stadies on the road right there at the construction, all lined up all the way down.
Yeah, I saw one when I came through.
Yeah, I cut off before I got there.
Did you?
Because I was doing like almost 70 down through there.
Wow, and when you get on right there, you have to consciously go, hey, I'm above the speed limit right here, because you don't realize, then when you go through that construction, it's like 50.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa. And then I saw the rear of that one facing. I was like, uh-oh.
I don't think it really matters, though, because I haven't seen any. I could going to Columbus, I can go 65, and cars are passing me like I'm sitting still.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially through the speeding zone that they put in up there. That's supposed to be highly watched.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't never seen anybody. I ain't seen a stadium in the area.
No. The only place that when I'm going that way is when I get, Bloomfield or whatever?
South Bloomfield, yeah.
I just slow down there because that thing goes from like 55 to 35 or something like that, like within 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like by Dairy Queen and everything.
It's almost like going into Waverly. You go from 50, from 55
coming down the hill.
Yeah, 50 to 35 right as soon as you hit that. Entrance right there.
The way I go into Jackson, it goes from 55 to 25.
Yeah.
Just bam. Now they do give some warning, but still it's like.
Yeah, the Waverly one, when I went down to Cardo's the other day, they were he was getting ready to have his grand opening down there, and coming down that hill, you don't realize how much speed you get up, and then you look over and you're like 35. Oh shit! You're like, oh.
Yeah, they used to be like really bad in Waverly to pull you over.
Yeah,
we got pulled over.
They'd be sitting there by the time we got pulled over in Dad's Cadillac. Because I was behind a truck and the light turned.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And I was like, how could I see that light with
we
that
were
truck?
behind a semi and it was, you couldn't see the light. And by the time we went through it, it was red.
Yeah, and he pulled us over and I was like,
he's like, well, you need to keep back more.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I was back. It's like, I was a car length behind him,
Right. To see behind, over top of that trailer, you need to be back like 20 car lengths.
I guess. But I asked him when I went in to pay that fine. I said, because he wrote, it was one of the days that had 30 days instead of 31, or 28 days instead of, I can't remember. It was in the, anyways, I remember that he wrote the thing for a day that didn't exist. And when I went in to pay it, I said, since this was written on a day that doesn't exist, do I still have to pay it?
Technicalities.
And she's like, yeah, you do, unless you want to take it to court. And I'm like, well, I ain't going to risk it. And I said, I'll just pay the fine. So I just went in.
They would probably give you some type of ticket for being an asshole.
Yeah, probably. They'd be like, well,
you only test the that theory if you have a greater charge.
Right. Right.
If it's like manslaughter and speeding, then you're like, hey, can you drop the speeding? You wrote it on the wrong day. Yeah, right. You don't go in for just the speeding, I don't think, unless it's an outrageous speeding amount, and you think.
She's like, yeah, they get mixed up like that sometimes when the months run like that, and I'm like, yeah, well, it technically didn't happen.
These things called calendars. Check into.
Right. You should know that when you clock in what day it is.
This is back in the 90s. So.
Right. Oh, that's true too. Actually, we were talking about the difference in that because talking about one of our workers got caught driving on suspension on his license. And I was like, man, that's like, I never had a DUI, knock on wood. But I had a lot of driving on suspensions, you know, and my license was suspended forever. And I'm as legal as I've ever been. And I still look at every on-ramp, off-ramp, you know, looking for the, you know, that nervous driving for a period of time. And, man, them driving on suspensions, boy.
Yeah, I know a couple people that do that. Don't have license and drive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and if I mean, if that was me, as soon as I've got on the road, they'd be like right behind me.
So that was the way the technology and everything like that. You know, before you could drive, like, and the car stayed in my name. I didn't do anything. I just drove. I took the chances going back and forth to work or whatever, waiting to get a permit just to drive to work sometimes and everything. And on the last time that I had gotten pulled over, and again, I went through a divorce. I was driving from Cincinnati to Chillicothe like 7 days a week. And so I was sitting in the back of this cop car on the highway when they pulled me over. And he had this screen in his car, and every car that was coming, the license plates were jumping up on the screen. And if it had something that had driving on suspension or anything with that license plate number associated with that person, it would turn red.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's cheating. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm out here freaking illegally trying to drive on a good conscience here, you know? And you guys are using some technology to I've been doing this good for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. He said, yeah. He said, and this was in Hamilton County in Cincinnati. He was like, there's 3 districts that have it right now. We're like the test of all of this. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, this is some bullshit right here. So I took that car, I had it put in one of my buddy's names because I was driving so far so often. And I was like, man, I can't take this risk. And then was in a car wreck or whatever. And that's what actually brought me to Chillicothe. I got out of the hospital and actually moved here. But I was just, the other day was like, this is the cleanest my driving record's ever been, man. I'm like, this is fantastic. I mean, that was when I went to court the one time. I told the judge, I said, look, honestly, I'm the safest driver out there. I said, because I'm worried to death that I'm going to get pulled over. I said, I'm not drinking, I'm not driving. I'm 10 and 2. I'm doing all the proper things. Look, you know, and he was like, yeah, don't come back in this courtroom ever.
Well.
Yeah, let's totally change gears here.
Yeah.
Talk about
we'll save this. I'll start a podcast because I've been wanting to do
car talk.
A car talk. There you go.
I've been wanting to start a Andy's Trucks YouTube page, so we'll use this as Andy's,
there you go.
Andy's car cast. There we go.
Carcast.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
man.
Just gonna be doing a car show out at Creekside.
I went to the one you had.
First one I had, yeah. And then haven't been able to do it since then. They are going to be doing one July 27th out at Creekside.
Okay.
It is Marshawn Lee. They're doing it for Rich Lee Memorial Car Show.
Okay, is that where they're doing it?
They're going to do it. They did it at the barbershop.
Yeah, last year.
So they're going to do it out at Creekside this year.
Okay. Yeah, I knew Rich. He was a good guy.
Yeah. So his daughter and my middle son are together.
Okay.
So we're going to do it out there and see what I just talked to him today to confirm the date and everything because they had some because Mary Lee just started a new job and everything like that, making sure date wise that everybody could be there and stuff like that. So
that's cool. I'll be there.
That's the last of the car talk, Brian. I'm sorry. It just popped into my head at the very end.
Yeah, that's cool. We got enough of that. We're good. We'll hit on the car stuff now.
Yeah.
That was just the last thing. So, Creekside Occasions.
Yes.
Yeah. Just tell us how you got involved and how that came about.
So when I moved here and met, my wife now, Bethany, she approached me with an idea that she had lived here probably 4 years, probably 5 years before I moved here. And she was watching everybody go to Columbus, go to Dayton, go to Cincinnati to get married and what have you. But everybody was always wanted, a rustic barn look and different things like that. And at the time, I was working for a company where she knew that I was into the restaurants and nightclubs and bars. And I basically went around and just changed our concepts of each place. I would go into our Italian restaurant, turn it into an Irish pub, and take the Irish pub. And just after so many years, you just kind of flipped them and with the nightclubs and everything also. So she was just asking, like, hey, besides weddings and I want to do events and I want this place to be kind of a gathering place for people to do a multitude of events and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's cool or what have you. And then you fast forward, that talk led to us dating and what have you, and went to real estate school. And she was out driving down. For her, the thing was, I need to find the right location. I want it to be close to town. I want it to have the old feel to it. I want some history because, we both love history. And she was driving down 772 and the realtor was putting a sign in the front yard, and she pulled in the driveway and pulled the sign out and was like, I have to call my husband, but we're going to buy this place. And, it had already had a barn on it. It had 2 houses, had a lot of history. It had sat there abandoned for almost 20 years. The back building trees were growing through the roof. It was it became a dump spot for everybody to, there was probably 15 washers and dryers, just laying in there. The whole bottom part of that house was nothing but scrap metal. It's like, hey, we don't really have anywhere to throw this. Let's not throw it in the creek today. Let's throw it in here. Wow. So once we purchased the property and started cleaning everything up, and the idea of what we wanted to do was, again, provide a spot that was close to town, had a cozy environment, but big enough to, have a good sized wedding and what have you, and to hold different events like music and, luncheons during the day and stuff like that. So, just a spot that when people said, hey, I want to throw a party or an event, and where can we do it, outside of our house or whatever, and it not be an outrageous price, and provide a service that makes people want to come back. So we kind of started cleaning everything up, learning the history of the property, and then we got everything barn built and jumped through a lot of hoops. I know being in a floodway and finding that out after purchasing that we weren't allowed to supposedly build things, put a lot of what we thought was going to be about a 1.5 year process, took about 4 years. Jumped through hoops. Bethany reads everything and was like, hey, this we can build because of X, Y, and Z. So things moved forward, got it going, and it's been a process. We opened up. We had 3 weddings that happened, and then COVID hit. And then you sit back and you're like, holy cow, this is crazy. Thank God, we had the real estate company at the time also, because, real estate went crazy because everybody was home and doing all the checklist things to their house that they've been leaving on the fridge for years, because, everyday life, and now everyday life had stopped, and they're like running to Lowe's and fixing everything. And so, I mean, that's kind of, how it got started, in the sense of, this is Bethany's idea and dream, that her entrepreneur mindset, just goes into, here's a problem, how can I fix it? And again, at the time, the problem was there was no facilities. And now we have a lot of great facilities, within a short distance, that I believe hit and house everybody's, what they may or may not want. There's the people that come to Creekside are looking for a more intimate wedding, are looking for a more rustic barn feel to it, but also having indoor and outdoor space. And then there's venues that if somebody comes to me and says, hey, we're gonna have 250 people, I'm like, hey, that's not us, unless you plan on having all of this outside and doing that. But there's, like Bell Manor, beautiful place, can house a lot of people. And everybody has their niche. And cause people say all the time, your competition here does this or does that, when the owners of these places, when we talk, we don't look at each other as competition in a sense, for the most part. It's like, just because we're all in the same wedding and event type things, we all have our different niche and everything.
Yeah, there's like
that.
different levels.
There's different levels to everything, and everybody needs a price point. I don't care what you do, if you plan a wedding for 100 people, you're feeding 100 people. If you're, each person that you get closer and closer to 200 and 250, your dollar amounts keep going up, and when you think of, catering alone, on the low end of doing something like a taco bar at $9 a person up to $30 a person, so you there's so much that goes into it that venue and things like that play a huge part. Is, how much do I want to spend on the venue, or how much do I want to spend on feeding my third cousin that I never see? So I mean, but each one of these venues, I believe we all have our niche and the people that are going to come to us and use us. I'm very happy with the diversity of things that we do at Creekside, of, doing weddings like this year. I mean, even across the board, none of these venues are doing as many weddings as they were the previous 2 years. You're seeing more and more people go do a destination wedding somewhere, and then they're coming back and they're throwing a party.
Okay.
They're doing the receptions. And I was thinking, at first maybe it was just our venue, and then I start talking to the DJs and I start talking to other venues, and they're all like, no, this is the trend right now. Is
so like a smaller destination wedding, and then invite more people for the
and then you just come back and everybody, outside of immediate family. What I'm seeing is, a lot of these are couples who are taking their immediate family, maybe down to, grandmas and grandpas. And I'm sure if there's a great grandma and great grandpa still there, that, if they can get there, they're going. But maybe, and then their bridal parties, maybe, 25 people that they're taking South Carolina, Outer Banks or Florida, or, a sandy, I'm on a beach wedding. And then, coming back and throwing just a reception and having fun, and not having the pressure of kind of doing everything for everybody all in one day, once, But on the flip side of all that, is the events. I jokingly say right now, I'm knee deep in graduation parties and baby showers. I said, by July, we're going to have a lot more babies and a lot more graduates in Ross County. It's because we're in just got into June, and I've had 17 baby showers this year already.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's, I'm like, holy cow. Usually my January's, slow down, venue wise. And this January was crazy. January and February. I think it's like a lot of things, man. There's so many options. Yep. There's so many things to do. And but you still see so many people requesting places for things to do, to have a baby's first birthday, to have a graduation party, or a gathering of 40 or 50 people that you just, not everybody can do at their house, and different things like that. So, and then partnering up with people to keep the business going, the stuff during the week, I think partnering with like Pioneer School. So I do them probably at least once a month. They have a lunch in there, usually a few hours, where they have, and it's all different types of things, from introducing parents to Pioneer School if their kids are going to be new to Pioneer School, having lectures and different things like that. They've teamed up with Adina and done some events and everything. And then we do a lot of chamber events, chamber luncheons.
I got a flyer the other day of an event that's happening out there. I can't remember what it was, but I got it at my Live Strong at the YMCA.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know if you...
I don't even...
They were talking about releasing butterflies.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the Cancer Center.
Okay, that's the Cancer Center. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fun. That just came about. They reached out a couple weeks ago. They are... The girl who is in charge of all that is wanting to do this benefit, release some butterflies, have past survivors coming back. Yeah. And then this is the first time they're kind of doing it as just one group. They want to do the whole group of all different cancers and try to do that, but she wants to work her way into this and everything. So this is a new connection with them, which is great. We did with Pioneer School and Adina Hospital breast cancer, where they did a free clinic, and they had different stations set up for women to come in and get checked for different things, did blood pressure and all that good stuff. And now we're doing this one. I believe that we will, just from the talks and the way things are going, and that's kind of one of the things that, I've gotten feedback is I love doing events like that. I love putting things like that together to, honor and help out the community and different things like that. So I think that this will branch into a lot bigger event in the future. Okay. But yeah, and she called back and was like, oh, and we want to, release, 500 butterflies. And I'm like, oh yeah, you can release them. And then I started driving home. I'm like, how far do butterflies go, after, am I having 500 butterflies forever out here now? They're cool and everything, but I don't need 500 butterflies every day, I was like, so I'm like looking up, how far do butterflies leave,
what's the survival rate of a butterfly?
What is, how long does a butterfly last? But
be like the 2.5 Men where they had the wedding for their mom, and she went to release the butterflies and they were all dead. Right. Oh, no.
We don't want that at a cancer survivorship. Yeah. That's funny though. I remember that. 2.5 Men was a great show. Yeah, that is something that we just worked on with Adina. So, and that's the, thing that I think is great is, we haven't done a lot of advertising as Creekside, that I thought we were going to have to do. Yeah. The whole COVID year, as I don't want to say detrimental, but it could have been. But how that changed the way businesses run and how we had to. The good thing is we hadn't been open. We had just opened, so everything in the next year was open. I hadn't, I wasn't booking the following year out. I was brand new. So everybody that we had booked already, once we found out, hey, this is where life is going. And because, at first it was like, hey, give it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we weren't canceling events. Those weddings were just like, you think we're going to do it? I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting just like you are for somebody to say, hey, it's a go. You could dance. I had people who were like, hey, we'll still have the wedding. We just won't dance or kiss. I'm like, at this point it was it wasn't mandatory, and in the beginning it was suggested. We had only been open for a couple months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'm trying to make decisions. These people have spent, thousands of dollars to throw a wedding, and we're telling them, even if my beliefs were one thing as a business owner and a brand new business owner, I had to consciously be like, I can't let you do a wedding, even though it's suggested, it's just a suggestion, because the minute you take a picture and put it on social media, then I become a bad business owner.
Yeah.
Because people were being attacked at this point in time. So as a business owner and being a new one, even though people knew who we were, they'd be like, look at this business owner. He's letting people in here with no mask on, and they're allowed to have a wedding. And then as the weeks went on, people understood a little bit more, I guess, in the sense of, okay, we understand why you're not letting us or whatever. And then it became mandatory. Good thing is this. All those people took the exact same date the following year. They said, okay, if, August 14th, I want that same date the following year, because, in weddings, a lot of times the date means something to people, the numbers and everything like that. So that was good. Nobody canceled. I had DJ friends that, had refunded over $30,000 because of events that weren't going to happen now. So we got lucky there. And then the next step was all these other venues had already been open, so they didn't have that luxury. Their August 14th the following year is a different wedding, So I got the influx of all those people.
Yeah.
So the actual first year of Creekside, what I call being open, we did 46 weddings in 52 weeks. Yeah. You talking about, but it was, that set us up in a position where our hands-on and our, us being at, each one of these weddings, because in the beginning, I couldn't hire nobody. I didn't even know when we were going to open.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the flow of cash flow and everything was going to be able to actually afford to pay somebody to do this. And, are they going to do it the way that in our heads we want this business to run? That's still a problem to this day is, am I going to find another person so that I can step back some and I don't have to be at all these events, but they're going to run it as if, so that's the goal to get to. But, it's a lot, it's a lot, but all those weddings that we did and not advertising was great because these people were recommending our place because of the experience that they had at one of these events.
Yeah.
And about halfway through all those, we were booking events at events, like up at the bar, like Bethany's bartending, and people are calling, they're Googling Creekside, calling the number, which they don't know is my cell phone, and I'm upstairs, and so they're coming up like, hey, I'd love to have a graduation party here. What does it take? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like doing contracts on the bar, which was great.
Wow.
But, and now we're 4 years in. This year was the first year that we were able to do one of our own events, having New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. Again, getting to a point of having staff and people to do events like that is huge. You know, I mean, you help us with bingo and everything like that when we do the fundraisers for Cats and Company and everything. A lot goes into it. I mean, you guys know, you know, just setting up podcast and doing this stuff. I mean, you know, it's not just, you know, come in and turn the switch on every time, right?
Yeah. That's the easy part.
That's the easy part and everything. So
the behind the scenes stuff is where the work goes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been good though. It's a lot of work. You know, I think the vision of what she wanted is there. Mm-hmm. Obviously it's a work in progress. I jokingly say we're in like phase 2 of many, you know, getting the houses done, you know, and, you know, cause the main floor is set up for, brides and them to get dressed in and have a space to do hair and makeup. Hopefully I hope that by the end of summer, the whole front house is completely done. People I love history. So, you know, knowing that the house is early 1900s, you know, it's the second house that was on the property. The first house burnt down in the late 1800s. You know, people have brought us newspaper clippings and different things like, you know, the Gazette paper when that house was built, said, come see, the newest, whatever, in Ross County. It has all the new amenities, you know, transom windows, you know, and whatever. Yet there's still a shit pipe that goes to Paint Creek, you know. It's like all the amenities. But it's crazy. You know, they did a full newspaper article on how new this house was and the things, and it was. I love that history part of it all, and then you know,
imagine if they did that now. It's like,
I know. And I mean, you see some of these houses that I'm sure in Huntington Hills and everything that, I mean, the inspectors say there's still houses that, you know, everything, you know, not everything's on septic and everything, you know?
Yeah.
So be careful when you're kayaking. But I don't know, man. It's been good. And again, you know, getting it all done, you know, or getting it into the positions of what we envision, you know, having the houses, both houses done, and that whole property, you know, being a business and generating income and also serving the community. And that's the goal. And, you know, you hope that, you know, 100 years from now and everything like that, when these boards need replaced on the barn and they find all the notes and stuff that we wrote inside the barn, and, you know, because there's stories, you know, when me and Bethany got married in it, it was just the shell, you know, so there's literally stories wrote on the inside of the wall before we put insulation and everything up and different things like that. And contractors writing funny stories because they knew it was the year when we were finishing part of the barn, that ice storm that came right before spring hit, like at the end of February into March. It was all being predicted. So one of the contractors wrote a big long story like, and on this date, an ice storm came to Chillicothe, and you know, it just goes on. And somebody, you know, 100 years, 200 years from now is going to freaking tear that board out and see that story and be like, oh, there must have been a huge ice storm. It killed everybody.
Shut everything down.
Yeah, this is when the dinosaurs died. So it's been good though. You know, I'm happy with the way that it's going. There's a lot of growth still there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of growth. Soon as I can organize my life a little bit better, you know, hopefully all that stuff will continue to keep going the way it is. Like I said, the positive thing is, the positive feedback from people and you know,
I mean, that's all I hear is good things. So
yeah, and I appreciate it. It's it's awesome to, for probably the first 2 years, people had no idea I owned the place. They just thought that I worked there.
Yeah.
And which was cool and everything. I mean, people came up to Beth and like, "Oh, I saw your husband working at Creekside and everything." She's like, "Yeah, he's out there a lot." She was like, "Oh, how long has he been working there?" And she was like, "Oh, no, he owns the place,
Yeah.
He's not." They're like, "What?" But they think I'm just a worker there. It's funny. So, but that's also a plus, it's cool, the amount of people that have said positive things about it. So,
well, it's cool that you're out there like involved in everything. So,
yeah, it is. And again, it's one of those things where you want to, it's great to be there, but you 7 days a week is 7 days a week, no matter what it is. You have to, at some point in time, pat the baby on the butt and let it go, let it grow. And again, I have, we have 3 boys, and they're all, most of them are in some type of business, related to this. And I don't know if they'll, run it one day, or if they'll keep it in the family, or if they'll, obviously building it and thinking about it legacy wise, I'd love for that to happen. I'd love, many, many years from now, because, buying that property and learning the history of it and everything like that, and learning the families that was all there, I'd love for my name to be a part of all that, as, hey, we took it from, this is where it was going. This back building was about to fall down, and people told us to, to knock it down, that it wasn't worth saving. And, when you find out, oh, it was a stagecoach stop, and it was actually the oldest building on the property, you're like, how the hell do I just let that fall down?
Yeah.
How do you let that fall down? And you can't do that. So, not if you're a person that, like I said, enjoys history and wants to preserve history and save things. So now having it to where it's stable, and it's the oldest building on the property, and rehabbing it into something that you can continue that history is pretty cool. And you hope, like I said, I hope, one of the kids, or at least, keep it in the family and let somebody else run it, or whatever it may be, but, keep the name associated with it as long as you possibly can. 'Cause there was points in life where, when you become a father and you like, the hell am I going to leave these kids? Some M&Ms and a water, so, at this point, having some businesses and things that, and them knowing that they have a business mindset, and they're 2 of them are running a business in town now. And, Cameron had his own business, so it's in their blood, and I think it's in their mindsets, hopefully that all stays within the family when Todd's long gone. And if not, I don't care. I'll be gone. At that point, so, but. So you've been out to the car show and everything, you said before?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Went out there, the first one to Chad, when you guys did it for the Humane Society.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Johnny and them.
Yeah.
And then I've DJ'd a wedding out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I remember carrying all the
equipment
up the stairs.
Yeah.
I was like, my gosh.
Oh, you went up into the loft and DJ'd?
They had me up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was like, man, maybe I should ask the next time I have a wedding out here if they want me on the floor upstairs.
Most of the time it's down on the floor in the corner, but there is, we have had DJs and everything. Well, it's funny because I had talked about, I was like, man, I'm about to build a dumbwaiter on the backside of this barn and everything to be able to pull kegs up and pull equipment and different things like that up. And I'm like, because carrying kegs up there isn't fun either, So, and I've helped DJs carry equipment up there, and I'm like, geez, Pete's, man.
Yeah, after that one, I went and bought me a set of speakers that were a little bit lighter, so in case I had to do that again.
Well, I'm glad we were an excuse for you to buy some new speakers, buddy.
I was like, these are like half the weight of those.
Right.
They're the same power, so I'll buy those. But yeah, and it sounded really good up there in the loft. I was actually surprised at,
So, and a lot of people said that, and that was one of my concerns in the beginning when we were building, being in the nightclub, businesses and working in different places and, what do you put in? What do you don't? Because people will ask all the time, hey, do you have your own sound system there? Do you have this? And it's like, in the beginning, that I was going to do that because I wanted to, hey, on a random Wednesday when I'm in there cleaning, just to blow the doors off the place because that's what I like. I enjoy. But, building nightclubs, and even if I put in, there was nightclubs that we put in our own speakers and our own soundboards and stuff like that. And then you'd have bands come in, then they don't want to use your stuff. They're used to, they've been on tour. They've been doing this. They don't want to use your stuff. They're using their own stuff. Well, I just spent, $60,000. Why did I spend $60,000 to do this when we're using this one out of every 12 months?
Yeah.
So that was, but as in sound and, because when we were doing that ceiling, the tongue and groove ceiling up there and everything, they weren't going to throw insulation up there. And I was like, hey, I need something.
Yeah.
So, and after explaining it to the builder and explaining it to the people that we had working, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, look, I'm never going to get back up there and throw insulation in after you guys say, hey, yeah, you probably should have thrown it up there, So we threw a lot of insulation in there. The only place that I have any issues, like if I'm underneath the loft, because it's hidden off the drywall.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
But if you're out in the open or you're upstairs and everything, I think the lofted vaulted ceilings and everything help out a lot. And I think it sounds good. We've had some good bands in there. MG Flash was in there and rocked the place out, and that was it sounded good. So
but when I walked in there and they told me I was up there, and I was like, oh man, I looked and I was like, I don't know how it's going to sound in here. I don't even know if they'll be able to hear it, straight out and if it's dropping down.
Right.
And I set it up and turned it up and went to the bathroom and just let it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I stand down there on that stage and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty freaking good down here.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Cool.
That's what we've been doing. Some of the graduation parties, opening up those doors to the patio upstairs, especially on the nice days, and setting up the speakers up there, and it'll go out the door, but it also it's in both, and it sounds really, really good. And because we've set up on the balcony out there. I think for the car show, we might have DJ'd out there. Travis might have DJ'd out there.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
And then Scott Roush, he's set up there a few times, and then New Year's he was out on the patio. I think it just the sound travels well out there, so that's pretty good. I was happy, and I'm glad I didn't have to put more insulation in.
Yeah. Are you planning on doing another New Year's party?
Yeah, I think we'll do something. You live and learn. You adjust as well as everything did and went. Things to tweak, I always say, if you invite the public to something, you get the public. It was a good turnout. Food was good. Music was good. I think everybody had a good time. I had a lot of messages, a lot more than I anticipated from people who I don't think typically praises or says, "Hey, thank you for doing this." I had people reaching out to saying, "Hey, thank you," because my goal for that was, I wanted to blend ages. I wanted, people that are, 20 something years old to be able to go out but there was also, 60, 70-year-olds that were there, and everybody intertwine and have a good time. And it wasn't anything to where, any age group felt that another age group outweighed them in a certain way or anything like that. And I think we achieved that. And, you know, I think it was a good, relaxing time for most people. In that, like I said, there was, you know, a gentleman that came up to me towards the end of the night that was in his 80s and had been there for a while, and he was out on the dance floor all night long. He had a few younger ladies who were dancing with him and on him and everything. And he came up at the end of the night, put his hand on my shoulder, and was like, "Son," he said, "I haven't had this much fun since the 70s."
The 1970s?
1970s, yeah.
Not since when he was 70.
Not since when he was 70, since 1970s. And that was, I think, you know, what made it all like, you know, we achieved this, you know.
Sweet.
You know, he had a good time. He had some good looking young ladies dancing and having a good time with him. You know, there was no drama or no problems in that sense, you know. So will I do it again? We're going to do something. But it'll be I have to organize it a little bit better. I think as well as everything went, you know, it was more of a break-even event. It's not like we didn't make a shit ton of money because we just, you know, you just didn't know talking about food and stuff like that. You know, how much food do you buy when because the playoff games were going on, football playoff games also. So we had TVs set up outside on the patio and everything. But one of the things that we didn't take into account, like both Ohio teams weren't playing till 4:00.
Yeah.
You know, had either one of them or anybody been playing, you know, at noon, I think that there would have been people and it would have flown, you know, flowed all day long.
Yeah.
It was, you know, we had a few people come out, get food, listen to some music and everything like that, but it was very laid back at that 12:00 hour. And then at 3:30, it just got pounded. You know, I think at a little bit after 4:00, when we did a section counts and everything like that, there was 350 people at one point in time.
Wow. Sweet.
But everybody showed up to come to see the beginning of the Bengals game, Bengals-Chiefs game. And, you know, and it just, you know, and then you had people start to come for the comedy show and different things like that. I think one of the changes that we'll make it'll be some type of ticketed event instead of open to the public. I mean, still open to the public if you buy a ticket, you know, but I think we'll cut it off at a certain number and give you a better idea to be able to gauge food, drinks, you know, and just overall flow of everything.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not do it all day long, again, depending on what games are going on and different things like that. But definitely we'll put something together. But I'm, you know, less apt to just let it be a free for all of anybody who comes to the door with $5 can get in type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's, and that's with any events now, you know, I think in general, bingo, stuff like that. Everybody buys their packets and different things like that. You know how many people are coming. You can, you know, buy the correct amount of food and stuff like that. And again, when I say, you know, we you know, breaking even and everything like that, dollar wise, it wasn't really, we came out ahead because I booked events from this event. You know what I mean? And that's the real goal, in a sense of throwing one of your, everybody wants to make money. We want to, you know, we raised money for the nonprofit that night. You know, we gave away a car, you know, girl won a car who family needed it. And, you know, when you hear the stories of, you know, because this is our, third vehicle that we've given away now, that, you know, when it goes to somebody that actually needs it and their family can use it and they bought, you know, one one ticket or
One ticket?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Or that was with the Jeep when we did the Jeep Fest. This one, I don't know how many she bought, but with the Jeep one that we gave away, the Jeep, that young lady had bought one ticket. She bought it the day of. And the only reason that she was there was her coworkers at work brought her, told her she needed to get out of the house. They, were having life, things, and she's been taking care of a family and just, getting by and whatever. And her friends all bought her bingo packet for her to come and play bingo with them. And she didn't even tell her husband that she came. Yeah. And so she come and she had, I can't remember how much, she had like $10 or something like that. And she bought some of the split the pot thingies or whatever it was and won $500 when she got there. So she paid for her packets and gave people their money and what have you. And her boss said, you should buy at least one car raffle ticket. She bought a car raffle ticket and she ended up winning the Jeep. Yeah, she called her husband live on Facebook when we were live on Facebook, and he worked nights, so he was asleep. And he was like, honey, I've worked all night long. He's like, I've worked all night long. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. She goes, honey, I just want a Jeep. He goes, babe, I'm not in the mood. And then we're all cheering in the background and everything. So those are the stories you love, and that's, as much as it's, bringing awareness to Bethany's nonprofit, the Cats and Company, and raising money for the shelter, to just, be able to buy food and feed and all that good stuff. The people that you touch and the people that, the stories when you hear, who won the Jeep and, what their situation was is awesome. It's like, man, that's what it's kind of about, I guess. Yeah. So, but other events and everything, we're definitely going to work on that.
Yeah. What do you have coming up this month? Do you know right off or anything open to the public? Or
nothing open to the public this month. Everything is still graduation parties, baby showers, couple weddings.
Yeah.
I don't really, everything that's booked right now is all that. Probably won't have anything that's open to the public until the car show. But I am working on having a jazz night, jazz band night, with a plated dinner.
Nice.
Kind of like we just did Swine and Stogies with the cigar band where we raised money, and they do a plated dinner. So I'm thinking about doing that, like 100 people, plated dinner, jazz band, local jazz band, and doing an event like that would be open to the public, first 100 people. And then working on a couple other things. I have a couple dates open towards the end of summer. I would love to do also a kids fest, where we would show a movie on at the end of the night and everything outside on the patio.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
cool. with the projector and stuff. So I'm working. I just got in contact and been talking with the lady who runs the Boys and Girls Club in Chillicothe in Ross County, I guess it is. So working with her to put a date together. They all want to try to do something like that before school starts, and your attendance on that gets a little bit hairy because you got people still leaving to go on vacations and different things like that, and back and forth. So I don't know, maybe something towards Labor Day weekend when the summer is coming towards the end, and maybe we can get a night in, even if it's during the week and everything. I don't think it's an issue to, before kids go to school or whatever, to have something during the week and just, throw a movie up at the end of the night after, because that was something that we had planned before COVID hit was, I I had reached out, and they have these semis that have, like the PlayStation and Xbox games on them and everything like that. So we had that lined up, and bouncy houses and all that good stuff, and music and cotton candy machines and stuff like that. We had that all planned before COVID. I haven't really reached back out, but that's still in the brain and still on the checklist of things to do. Is getting with the kids and getting my youngest boy he was just like, Dad, there's just not enough for us to do here, and so working on things like that. I'd love to. We got enough room out there and woods out there, to even, do some type of, laser tag type, stuff, Nerf wars, stuff like that. I'd like to, I know somebody just put together a wiffle ball tournament, and that was for adults. I'd like to do it for kids also.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Things like that. We definitely, those things would still be open to the public and what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we need around here. Something for younger kids, or not really younger kids, but even teen kids.
It's the teen kids, man.
But keep them out of trouble.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the reason why a lot of stuff didn't go well around here. Like that big one they had out at Big Bear's old building out there. Remember they had that arcade out there?
Oh, I didn't know they had an arcade in there.
Yeah, they had a big arcade in there, and they had so many problems with fights and
and
kids fighting, and that became. And I think that's what the problem was. Just takes one apple to run the whole bush.
It does. And, it's, talking with a couple people that help out, like the YMCA, like teaching and that, who works with these kids and whatever, you can throw these events and you can do that. And then it's 95% of the time, it's not the kids that are coming to the event and everything. It's the kids that are wandering into the event. Especially like, the ones that are in the park and anybody can walk in and everything, but I mean, even when we were young, it is the same thing, it's just not everybody had cameras and phones and what have you. And instead of helping people, they're videotaping it so they have content, it's, it's a double-edged sword on that whole thing, is what age group. And then is that, 12 to 17 age group. I'm sorry, but boys are going to be boys, and boys are going to fight. The problem is it's just not hand to hand anymore.
Yeah.
It's not just that. If it was just that, I have no problem breaking up two 14-year-old boys fighting, Two 14-year-old girls, I'm going to let them pull each other's hair out. Then I'm going to freaking get in, because if not, you come out looking like you got attacked by a band of cats.
Right.
But, it's hard, and it's hard for a business owner to say, I want to reach this group and, be able to control it. There is still, and probably even less now, but then I feel like every time I say, discipline and stuff like that's getting less, I feel like my parents and now that I'm getting older and I'm just being get off my lawn, but there is the part where, as a business owner, having let's just say in that Big Bear, we put a trampoline park with a indoor putt-putt and things like that. What crowd is hanging out there?
Yeah.
The kids that are 14 years old that are coming and playing the putt-putt and everything like that and having a good time and have enough money to get a drink and a pretzel and everything like that. But then there's, the 16, 17-year-old kid who, may not be doing the right things outside, or outside the door or inside, right inside, but not, participating necessarily in the activities that are involved there, but, then there's the whole, do you not do it because of just those bad apples?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. See, I'll correct myself on that. It was the Big Bear when it was in Shawnee Square.
Yeah, it was Shawnee Square.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a long time
I
ago.
forgot all about the one on where it moved on Western Avenue.
Okay, so it was over there before that?
Yeah.
Is that where like Dunham's and everything was?
It's
Yeah,
right where Ollie's is.
Yeah. Yeah, that used to be a grocery store.
Yeah,
Really?
Big Bear used to be in there because it moved from out on Bridge Street to there, and then from there,
Oh, wow.
it went to Western out there on Central Center. But
Well, I mean, they had one on Bridge Street and Central Center
yeah,
at the
Oh,
same
did they?
time. Yeah.
yeah, and then they moved. Yeah, but the one there's where they had
Now, have you guys always had Kroger here, or was it just Big Bear?
We had both.
Kroger,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And Super Duper. Remember Super Duper out there on Stang Plaza next to Sundry Store?
That's right. Yeah.
Huh.
Spent a lot
There's
of
a
time
grocery
there in
store out there.
Yeah, spent a lot of time in Sundry Store there.
There was a grocery store on 2nd Street.
IGA or Gateway.
Yeah.
Gateway right there where the
Is that Mulberry?
on the corner there where the doctor's offices used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right there used to be a Gateway.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
you had that and then Sack and Save.
Sack and
On
Save.
the
Sack and
next
Save's
block.
always been here making
Yeah.
chicken, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's funny. Old
Yeah.
Sack and Save.
I remember my mom used to go shopping at Super Duper out there, and I'd go next door to Sundry Store and buy 8-tracks or
And 45s.
45s or CD or not CDs, but cassette tapes, whatever
Yeah.
I could get my hands on then.
Yeah, I remember going out there flipping through the 45s.
Huh.
Yeah.
I still have a big boxes of 45s.
Yeah, those were the good old days. There, or Street Beat when it was in the alley.
Yeah.
Bought Run DMC.
Nice.
It's Tricky there.
Nice. Nice. Was that on cassette?
Nope.
No.
45.
45?
About several
Oh,
of them
wow.
were 45s.
Man.
Yeah, I didn't get into cassette still. I got my Walkman. Then I had cassettes when we went on motorcycle rides.
That's funny.
Riding a sidecar and have his case of everything from shoot 50s rock clear up to OU 812 by Van Halen.
Yeah.
Just sitting there and listening to the music as we was going
Yeah.
on motorcycle trips.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't remember any time I didn't have Walkman and headphones in when we were out.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days.
I was always a cassette guy. I was like to the very end when they started dipping off.
Yeah, I still have the double-sided cassette holder things.
Yeah.
I gave all that to my oldest boy and everything. He's got a lot of that stuff stored because he loves vinyl. He has a lot of vinyl. I bought a bunch of vinyls on when I was going through my whole auction relapses. I get on these auction sites and everything, and I'm like, oh, look at that.
A big lot of vinyl.
300 albums. I'm like, I got a bid on it. So
I remember my dad did a little side thing at WCHI AM radio down there on Eastern Avenue. He had a little DJ down there and had a show on Saturday afternoons called the Uncle Andy Show where he played real old country music.
really,
And he bought some of them, I think they were 78s, the real thick ones.
Yeah,
yeah,
78.
You had to use
Yeah.
a special,
small hole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had
small
to use a
hole, yeah.
special record player to play 'em. I
Yeah,
remember he bought that, and then he went and bought this guy had a collection of them, and I remember he bought a truckload full of them things,
Mm.
brought them in, and then not too long after that, he's like, he said, come on, we're going to get in the truck, you're going to help me. And I was like, what are we doing? He goes, I just found a guy that used to do the old jukeboxes and had a bunch of 45s. So he went and bought 2 truckloads of those.
nice.
So upstairs do you remember going upstairs in my room and on that one corner was all records?
Yeah.
Well, that was just part of
Yeah.
it. And I remember going through there and there was like, I can't remember. That's where I first heard Steve Perry, Old Sherry.
Yeah,
That was the first one. The first time I ever heard him was in that. My mama, Dr. Who or Dr. Hook, and the medicine show. My mom always listened to them. So I was on, Billy Swan. If anybody's even familiar with him. Oh man. I know a lot.
He said, I know a lot.
I introduced to a lot of older music that
Yeah.
people do. Today you mentioned, they're like, who?
Who?
We when we were doing a clean out of a house and everything, we found a bunch of 75s in slots and everything. But they had a whole collection, and all of them are like symphony style music and everything like that. But man, they are heavy.
Yeah.
They are heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. I remember them, but we didn't really.
I think they're more fragile than the other types of.
Oh, they probably are. Yeah, they're like,
easy.
they crack.
Because my dad was always like, now if you play one of them,
There's no give to them.
make sure that you're real careful with it because it'll crack.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. I like those.
Those were the days. I remember all that. It's just like to go back to those days would be nice.
I forget what podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about when cassettes and everything, when everything was switching to cassettes, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we knew the delivery schedule at Kmart when they would bring in the new music, and we would go and we would steal all the freaking today's music." Oh, cassette tapes.
I remember Street Beat on their days.
Street Beat, yeah.
New music day, I'd go up there to be waiting for this new album to come out, like Poison.
Poison, yeah.
All the Poison cassettes. I knew the days they were coming out, and I'd be the first one up there, and I'd be like, here to get it. And sometimes Randy'd have it sitting there waiting on me if he knew I was coming.
Yeah.
I'd be like, make sure you put that back.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys have place, so like the record store that was by us and everything like that, when they came out with the headphones that you could listen to, you know, like if a new album came out and it dropped on that Friday and everything came in, you could put the cassette in or whatever and it would play the music in your head.
Yeah.
He had something
before
set
like
up
Sam
that.
Goody and all them were
Well,
doing
he
all
would-
that.
They would play it.
Yeah, they would play
Over
it
the
in the
speakers
store.
in the
Yeah.
store, yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, man, he had put these in. They were straight hood rigged and everything like that, but it worked. You know, you could go in and put your cassette in, and I remember because the first time he had that and everything was I played Motley Crue, "Shout at the Devil"
No.
on there. I was like, oh my god! And then these headphones, they were good headphones. I was like, I need these headphones.
I think the other store when they moved at Street Beat, I think he had something like that
I think
set up.
that's what he had there. The little one in the alley didn't.
Yeah. Because they started Donato's Pizza.
Yeah.
It used to be Bob Evans,
Oh,
and there was a railroad track that ran right through there, right beside it. And then back behind Bob Evans was Street Beat. It was just like a little
Like a
shack.
little shack looking thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of fond memories going in there and getting 45s and
We had the dude where we used to go to the barbershop on the corner, and next to it was a place called Record Arcade, and it was in a more urban neighborhood, but he had all genres of music and everything. So it was just a big collection. You would have hard rock people in there, you would have hip hop people, and it was cool because it was where it was located and the different genres of people that came there, because he would be the only one that would get a Motley Crue album and a Run DMC album on the same day, and so you would have all those people in line and what have you.
Yep.
It's a cool time.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
Now you can just pull up everything
Oh,
you
yeah,
want.
yeah. Not everything.
Not everything I've seen now.
You cannot get House of Lords first album.
Oh, really?
It is not. I think Gene blocked it because it was on Simmons Records.
Oh,
You cannot find it. You can and because I've searched and searched and searched and have not been able to find it
no
anywhere.
platforms carrying it.
Right. And I was like, man, I would just want to hear that song.
what song?
House of Lords, the one off the title. And then they had the other one that was,
They had a song, House of Lords?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and then there was one that was Looking for Strange. I think that was one. That's a pretty good one.
Looking for Strange.
Yeah. And
Sounds like a good song.
you could find that one. That one I found they had it on one album that's on there. That's a live album and it's live.
Oh,
but it doesn't have the same
Yeah.
feel as the
Right.
original.
Yeah, you can't find Badlands, their first album, anywhere.
Yeah. And
So-
it's weird because everything else is out there that's
Yeah.
first albums.
Well, a lot of, and again, some of these artists and everything. I mean, I saw one artist. Oh man, who was it? His music just went on to Amazon. It was just released to Amazon Music and everything, where before it was just on iTunes because he was an Apple artist or something like that. And now that I guess contract is up, he's able to get it out onto the other streaming sites and all that.
It's like Tool. You couldn't get any of their streaming until like 2019.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there was a few bands that they weren't letting anybody.
Metallica's one.
If you own your,
the Beatles.
well, they're still, they're still a little hurt from Napster and everything.
yeah.
I mean, they're like, no.
Yeah, they're still. Lars is still fighting.
the
on that
Beatles
one.
held out for a long time.
Yeah, John, Paul. Yeah.
Def
Yeah,
Leppard.
there's supposed to be a documentary or something about Napster coming out and everything, and because everybody's pissed off, they're like, if Lars is not on this documentary, this is not a real documentary, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's still.
It turns out he was right.
right. They did not want him on this, man. Yeah, he definitely was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was ousted for a while because we were all talking. I'm like, man. So what sites were you using back then? I'm like, man, remember BearShare? Did you guys?
BearShare, LimeWire.
Yeah.
BearShare. I was like, oh my God, I infected so many computers with that freaking BearShare.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't
My
know
mom
what
was like, I can't get on QVC at all anymore. I'm like, she was like, this BearShare thing keeps throwing up these. I was like,
well,
I'm
even
sorry.
the files you downloaded, it's like you didn't know what you were going to get. If it's going to be a real song or if it's going to be something bad.
Right.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And the whole Napster.
Or it could be named something and then you
And it'd be
download it and
something
something else.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh,
I
that's
got
not what I was wanting to
a
get.
couple of them like that because there was like a new album come out and I was like, oh, I'll just download it from here.
Yeah.
Downloaded it and it's some Australian guy singing some kind of
It's
folk
like-
song.
It's
and
their
I'm
first album, like slowed down.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
People just
BearShare,
trolling.
LimeWire. Man, that computer was through. That's crazy. Look how far we've come, man.
Especially with the speeds we used to download.
I know.
Oh my
You'd
God.
start
my
a song
goodness.
and it'd be like 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. And halfway through, you'd hear the ding ding, you know, and it's being recorded.
Yeah.
You're like, man, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom was so pissed at us, me and my sister. We had that one computer. My mom worked nights, so during the day, she slept a lot during the day. So we would just sit there and just download music. And then by the time she got up and needed the computer or whatever, it was like jammed. You know?
Yeah.
She was like, "What are you guys doing to this computer?" And again, I mean, that was early stages, man. We all now usually have some type of, computer savvy to a certain extent. Almost everybody, young people, everything, old people, young people, whatever, can pick up a mouse and get on the internet now.
Yeah.
Where in the beginning, there was, and then there, the people who are like, I'll never do this,
Mhm.
So my stubborn ass dad.
Remember when Rax Corporate was closing down, selling off them laptops. And I bought that one.
Yeah.
You'd dial it up, and if it was like he's searching for cars,
Yeah.
and it'd load a picture. The picture would be like
Right.
line by line loading up.
Right.
And he'd be like, "Geez, it
Yeah.
takes you about 4 hours to look at one car."
Right. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, man, don't miss those days. But,
Right. But
It's the
did you ever
nostalgia
think that
of
we would be here though?
Yeah.
I mean, you're sitting in a studio right here with some amazing, technology and
it's
stuff that,
crazy.
I couldn't imagine that we were going to be here,
right?
It's crazy.
Because everything's at the touch of your finger now, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't have it, it's odd.
Yeah. I mean, we could even just we could record this thing on just a phone if we wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
We don't need these microphones or anything. Just
well, and that's you know, like one of the podcast music and all that. You know, they always talk about, you know, they ask in one of their question series, you know, would you rather be on a major label or be independent now? You know, and how, you know, 10 years ago, if you'd have asked this question, everybody wants to be major, you know, and now 10 years later, you know, that tide is changing a lot, and people are questioning whether you have to be major or don't. But, you know, the one guy's on one side and other is a DJ that's on the other side, where he's just like, you know, with major and everything, I know that I'm going to get X amount of money up front to be able to budget, you know, what I'm doing and what have you. Independent, you know, and obviously these artists aren't real happy with the money they're getting from the streaming revenues,
right?
You know, for the most part, you know, you have to have an OnlyFans to freaking make money. You know?
The other thing that a lot of them don't realize is I was like this for years. Was I'd like to really be, you know, take my band and get somewhere with them, make all this boo-goo bucks. Okay, yeah, you sign a record deal. They give you that money, but you got to sell X amount of records because you got to pay them back before you get anything.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and then you think about that and you're like, you know what? I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah.
Because at least that way I get the 100%
the
of royalties, 100% of merchandise.
You own your shit.
Yeah, it's all yours.
Yeah. And that's part of the conversation now. And that's, I mean, you know, in 10 years from now, you know, are the majors, you know, more sponsors than they are, you know, in control of everything. Cause we're learning more and more. And, you know, part of that podcast was, you know, them talking about certain artists who came out and said, like TLC saying, you know, hey, we were on #1 Billboard for, you know, 30 weeks straight and we got checks for freaking $10.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and everybody, you think, you know, we, the public, what we're seeing and everything, like, oh, you know, they're living in mansions and what, no, they don't own any of it, you know, and what have you. It's all facade. They're all putting them in there and everything like that. But now we have this technology and everybody's sharing their stories. And again, I don't know if it's just the coming of age of us and getting older and everybody's kind of having the platform to be able to talk about it. But I mean, you know, the shadiness of certain, you know, a lot of businesses and everything, but in the music industry definitely was taking advantage of artists for a long time.
Yep.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yep. They sure were.
Yeah, right.
You know, 'cause you're just like, you know, because you're like, oh man, I want to be like him, drive this and drive that. And then when you get to thinking about, and when you find out the reality, it's like, so he's still in debt.
Right.
And he's been on, you know, he's been around for 30 years now.
Right.
And he's still paying the record label back for his first album.
Right. Yeah. You know.
You know.
Well, and, you know, look at how many artists now that were older and everything, talking about, you know, like the cassettes and stuff like that. These artists are at their 30 years and just now getting their masters, you know, and because they revert back, you know, they're signing these contracts and everything, not having any idea that they don't own any of their music while they're making this and everything.
Yeah.
And then they get older and now, I mean, I'm 53 and they're, you know, in the same age group and they're like, now I'm getting my masters, you know. De La Soul just got all their masters back after 30 something years, you know.
Yep.
It's crazy.
A lot of them though now are doing their own thing and starting their own, you know, doing their own recording and stuff, and then leasing that or whatever to the record labels.
Right.
So the record
distribution
like
rights and everything.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like reversing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think that, you know, is going to be the way that it's going to end up. These record labels are going to be distributions companies.
Or
yeah. And again, that, I mean, I'm sure there will be there's still people that, and that's not a knock on majors or anything, because I'm sure, you know, they're covering their bases better than they did in the 80s and the 90s and everything, you know, in a sense. But you know, getting that, somebody who can, do a stadium tour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's hard to do on an independent,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Well, that was kind of Toby Keith's thing.
yeah.
That's why he wanted to. That's why he really didn't like labels, because they took you for everything.
Right.
And he made a good. He turned a really good thing out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the way I think that's, and with the like going back to the technology thing, there's a lot more technology that you can do this
Yeah.
on your own at home if you want to be an independent, and then
Right.
you can if you're good enough, you can get it on YouTube,
Yeah.
get it out there, and then the labels might look you up on there and say, oh, hey, we'd like to distribute that, and here's X amount of money for
Right.
you this, and then you lease us the music, so that way you still keep your end of it.
Well, the whole TikTok thing that went on where these artists were going on and asking people to do a verse on a song that they did.
Yeah.
And now, then people were voting on, oh, we like so-and-so on this. We like this. We like this. And then that person going out and touring with them and getting money all from a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Because you're a songwriter or you're what have you, and you decided to jump on this.
Yep.
And you put your verse on there and you won, in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many artists, that are doing that now, and it's like we're creating, I don't know if it's, the 15 minutes of fame star, or, some of them
Long
that,
haul,
or they go on to, maybe that's what they do for a living and they make a modest living from it, who knows? But it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is definitely freaking crazy to know that, we can record something and it go viral.
Right.
And you start making money.
Yeah, I mean, the tides have changed on all that.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like my wife asked me the other day, we were talking about something, and she said, so do bands and stuff make videos anymore? I was like, yeah, they do. I said, they put them on YouTube now.
Yeah.
Like that. And she's like, oh, I said, yeah. I said, MTV's nothing but pretty much reality shows. And
yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I watched a music video.
I haven't really watched one, but if one pops up on YouTube that a new band put,
even bands that I like, that put out new stuff, it's like,
when I was running Wings and Rings in Kentucky at lunchtime, I used to put it on VH1 when they used to do pop-up video, and that was like the biggest hit. Like everybody was like, dude, I so forgot about this video and everything. And I can't tell you how many people we made late going back to work and everything, because they were like, oh my God, this White Snake video, I remember when this came out, and, but yeah, it's crazy. I can't even.
Yeah. The world has changed so much with technology. It's unbelievable, the things that you could do now that we wouldn't have even thought of.
Right.
Back then, like who knew that all these people would be popping up?
And like you said, take your speakers, for example, you downsized and everything like that with the same power and the same amperage.
Yep.
And, you're probably putting out a more crystal clear sound than even, going down, that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, look at those, the Bose Tower,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Crazy. One of the DJs had the full tower with the powered subs, and that thing freaking rocked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rocked. And clear it can be.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable how crystal clear it was.
Yep. Is that the Bose with the array on top?
Yeah.
Stick.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the church I go to has the EVs.
Yeah.
Those, and that's what they do.
Oh yeah, that's where I've seen those recently.
Yeah.
The EVs at church.
Yeah,
Where you go to
that's
church at?
I just went down to his.
down in Piketon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just started taking over their live stream and doing it for them and helping them with lighting in there and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. And they use them, and I had been a skeptic of them because I'd heard that they weren't good for gigging and stuff like that, other than
The
DJs.
EV ones?
Yeah, or any kind of those
Towers.
arrays.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, with the little arrays. That they were more for like singer-songwriters that want to sit in the corner of a pub.
Yeah.
And then they started using, I seen them using them down there, and I was like, man, those sound pretty good. And then they told me that they use them when they do live outside events. And I'm like, how are they having enough power for that? Because if you get more, you're supposed to have so many watts per,
right.
100 people or so. And I'm like, how are you guys pushing,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen them outside yet.
Yeah.
But in that little building, they sound
Yeah,
good.
we've had them at Creekside, a couple DJs, and I do think actually the one dude out of Yellow Springs, I think his is EVs, but I know Jeremy, his is the Bose, and them things are nice, real nice.
Yeah, I've been toying around with thinking about ordering some, but I just don't know yet if I want to. I'm just because I'm good with my stands and my two 15-inch sitting on top and running an 18-inch sub.
Yeah,
and that to me sounds good. And then if I need extra power, I just crack out the 212s.
Are they powered?
Yeah, they're all powered. I don't want a powered board because I can go in there with my little mixer and run 4 mics into it and my laptop and be done. And don't have to carry a bunch of stuff. But,
yeah. Absolutely.
But everything gets smaller now, so.
Yeah, my eyes are getting better. I need everything back to the size it was with the big letters, man.
I was even having problems with that when I was taking class out. You remember? I took my glasses off. So I could see the knobs on the control boards.
I was in somewhere the other day, and I was looking at a menu, and I had to hold it out like this to be able to see it.
Yeah.
Just coming in from the inside, my eyes were all messed up.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like, as the day goes on, my eyes, we went to Los last night, and it was, I don't know, 7 or something like that. And I was tired, I know, but I was like, man, I was reading some shit earlier, but now tonight, right now, I don't know what's going on right now, man. Does that say Polo?
It's a little blurry.
But yeah, that is, the way that all that stuff, technology, speakers and everything like that has gone is fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys see it here too with keyboards and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's another thing out at Creekside that just popped in my head since we were talking about Paul does the stage and everything when we do the Tristan Miller Music Festival out there. Which is September 27th or something like that, I think. This year.
Okay.
But yeah, you guys do all the stage and all that good stuff and everything. I'm not sure. I just talked to Jeff Miller the other day. I'm not sure. I know last year we had John Langston, the country artist, was the headliner. I'm not sure who it is this year. September 14th. September 14th is the Tristan Miller Music Festival.
Sweet.
I know this year there's I know usually like Greg Higley plays. He's played every year. Usually Moose Miller. He actually just yesterday he's going to be announcing that he's going on tour with somebody, so he's actually not going to be able to be there this year. This will be the first time that he's not there. I love that kid, man. He's good.
Was he down at the feast this year?
Yeah, he was down at the feast this year also.
Him and his sister.
Oh, yeah.
Holly's his sister?
Holly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They did a song together down there.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd seen her in years.
Yeah.
She was with Toby Mac.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Both good kids, man. Michael, I think he just has what you say has that it. He's a big, tall, good-looking kid with a good voice, good stage presence, and a good outlook on life.
Cool.
When he, and again, not necessarily a genre of music that I listen to every day, but I appreciate it. And you can tell the emotion in his music that he writes and that he sings, and that's what attracts me to it. Besides knowing him since he was a kid and knowing what kind of kid he is, and wanting him to do well, but his music it moves you, and from what I feel, I think he's going to be successful at it.
Cool.
So, but I didn't know his sister was up there with him. That'd have been cool to see. I haven't seen, like you said, I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, they did a song together. I just happened to see it on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I saw it on Facebook too. Yeah,
because I was strolling through there and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Moose Miller, and I was like, Holland. I was like, because I didn't put the two together at
Gotcha,
first.
yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, that's Holly. I was like, I didn't know that was her brother till, after.
Yeah.
And then
their whole family is musically inclined. They're all, Tristan, who the music festival's for, they're cousins. Tristan's brother, Trey, plays the drums, and he's really good. And then their dad, Jeff, and the whole daggone family is pretty damn musically inclined. It's kind of sickening. But they all, Jeff plays bass and has for a long time. I think he's played other instruments and what have you. But they all have it, like, in the sense of musical talent. But I think Moose will. I think he's got it. I mean, he had a scholarship playing basketball at college and everything. And was just like, hey, I can do this because I'm 6'7", and it's all right and everything. He said, but my and then he just is like, what? I'm done with basketball. Music's my passion. I need to follow it. And
still a young kid.
Yeah, so he is. Let's see, Cameron. My son's 20. Middle one's 23, so he's 23.
Oh, okay.
23, 24 years old. Yeah, somewhere right in there.
Cool.
Good group. That whole group of kids in that group were all pretty good kids, man. All going in certain directions. And what I've noticed, and again, I don't know that, again, maybe just getting older and everything, but the middle son, Cameron, the 23 to 25-year-old kids and everything like that seem to have a direction that they want to go in. I see more now their friends pushing them to achieve it. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what you do. My son Cameron will support Moose, by going to a show or and making sure that he's, sharing his music or promoting his music and different things like that. And I think these kids all are like, it's a little bit different than some of the, the oldest son and the youngest boys generation. That's something in that middle child in that 23 to 25 range right now. I think, they all seem very supportive of their friends and what they're doing, which is pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. It's weird. It's just, like I said, I have 3 boys and everything, and they range from, 28 to 21 and just that 7 years, man, difference of, life,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. You have brothers or sisters or anything or?
Yeah, I've got, 3, I've got 4 brothers. Got an older brother, and
you just are like,
oh, okay.
I got an older brother that's like 70.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got brother that's in his 30s. And then there's twins that are in their late 20s.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each one of us. I mean, 2 of us are. There's three of us that are music. Still mess around with music.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I do more music stuff than any of them do.
Right.
Yeah.
Or try to.
Brian, your family's all kind of, the Roushes all have some music going on. I mean, or like music, I guess.
Well, I mean, Scott,
yeah,
he's into some stuff.
Yeah.
That's about it. Me and him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Now my mom was kind of a singer.
Okay.
But I mean, she didn't like go out and gig or anything.
Right.
But then my grandma, my mom's mom, she was into like country music, and she did a little bit of gigging, singing, and she also managed a couple, at least one band that used to play around town.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So that's kind of where I get it from, I guess.
Yeah.
So I got mine from my dad.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he played, used to be Sadie's and Shorty's Country Jamboree.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did some stuff out there at the Paxton Theater back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they moved to other venues.
Huh.
And then he sang at churches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I used to call him a singing captain. He was a singing sergeant, and then when he got promoted to
Oh,
captain,
okay.
he was
had
a singing
had to
captain.
change his nameplate.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I got all my music inclined from, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a thing because that was something he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
He went to
I wish I
Nash-
could play like instruments now that I'm older. I wish
Mm-hmm.
there was, we played piano when I was young a little bit and everything like that, some keyboard and that, but never enough to, do anything. But we were a big, music family, even, my mom's house or if I was at my dad's, especially my dad's, the different styles of music, from, Molly Hatchet and AC/DC and everything. And then you come in one day and it's the OJs and it's, Linda Ronstadt and shit like that, and you're just like, but you gained and then my stepmom, she, was an Elvis fan and they, obviously the Beatles and all that. But, having the broad range of, any style of music, you could walk in on any certain day, but there was always music. Even to this day, if you walk to my dad's house right now, I guarantee you there's like an old 80s clock radio playing music in the garage.
Yeah.
Whether there's anybody in there or not, it's always playing,
Yeah.
So I've always enjoyed music to that extent, but never got behind and played any instruments. I was too busy with other things in life, I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
But, Bethany's on the flip side can play a bunch of different instruments and what have you. And she's one of those hear it and play it type people.
Yeah.
It's why we have freaking 6 pianos and, and what's the one that she plays that I had no idea was an instrument? Dulcimer. It's like a wooden keyboard type thing with the mallets.
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's
Dulcimer. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
sent me a video of her playing it one time.
Yeah. We were driving home one day and a rap song came on and the beginning of it was a Dulcimer or whatever, however you say it. And she says, "Oh, that's and I'm like, what is that?" And she was like, "I got one underneath the bed in the spare bedroom and everything from my parents' house, that big bag." I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and we had been out and everything. And she had a few drinks. I'm like, what is she talking about? She listened to that song over and over again on the way home. Took us about 15 minutes to get home. Mm-hmm. She went home, walked inside, pulled that thing out. Like I said, she's had a few drinks at this point in time. She set that thing up and she was like, play that song again. And 15 minutes later, man, we were recording her playing it. And I'm like, that is crazy. It's crazy, but that's she can do that, man. I keep saying I'm gonna buy her an acoustic guitar because that's what she wants.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants to teach herself how to play guitar. She thinks it'll be something that would help relax her brain a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the piano. She plays the piano every once in a while. She used to sing all the time, but she was losing her voice a lot. So she had stopped for a while. You'll catch her every once in a while singing. But her dad's a really good singer. Her dad, and her dad's side of the family, her grandma taught piano during the depression for like 25 cents a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. And her dad tells the story. It was 25 cents a kid for the music lessons on the piano that we have in our house now that her mom, but that's how she saved money during the depression, and was able to buy things.
Wow.
Was 25-cent freaking piano lessons. Yeah. And she, at 80-something years old, she played the piano at our wedding. You know, could barely move her fingers and everything like that, but played a couple songs during our wedding. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
So listening to her tell her story.
Cool.
That's a cool story.
She, you know, and it's even cooler when it came from you know, she was 86 years old, 80-something years old. It's like, yeah, you know, Bethany's grandfather came home with a piano. I had no idea how he bought it and everything like that, but he had been saving money up from working on a dock or something like that. Depression hit, and she said they had 4 walls and a piano. So for a quarter a day, a quarter a kid, she was teaching you how to play it.
Oh, man.
So
A quarter had to have been a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess, you know, and again, you know, the depression. So who knows? Shit. At least she was getting a quarter. When we were going through our depression recently, everybody was stealing toilet paper.
Yeah.
You know, how stupid are we? See, technology's getting better. Common sense is not.
Right. I've said that for a long time.
Yeah.
Common sense is gone.
Yeah, it is not. I was like, the whole time, I'm like, if the worst thing that happens is I have to figure out how to wipe, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need to steal people.
I got some washcloths.
People were taking, when we had events and everything, people were stealing rolls out of the extra toilet paper thing at Creekside.
They were
At
doing
Creekside. Like they would have an event and was stealing the toilet paper like I made them pay for it.
Yeah.
You know?
that. They were doing that down at the restaurant when we opened.
Really?
When we would open the right when we were able to open the doors in the inside.
Yeah.
They'd come in there and we'd go in there and the things would be broke open.
And where was this at?
Tim Hortons down there in Waverly.
Really?
Yeah, I managed that place for years.
Man, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I know that they did not go through 4 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right.
Jeez.
Napkins, they'd come in, steal napkins right off our thing too because we got to the point where we just keep a minimum of what we had to have.
Yeah.
Instead of like the gas station where they gave you a big long stick with one
Right.
key on it, we were giving you 2 sheets.
Yeah.
Holler
Here
if
you
you
go.
need more. Holler if that's not
Ration
enough.
it.
It's not
Ration
enough.
it
You're
out.
on your own.
Yeah.
Use your hand and wash it off. I used to always kid with some of the employees. I'd be like, we're going to have to break out the 3 seashell method. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's from some movie, isn't it?
Yeah. Demolition Man
Demolition Man.
with
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
Uh-huh.
And they couldn't use, there was no toilet paper. And they said, because he went, they brought him back into the future.
Yeah.
And they're like, he needs to learn the 3 seashell method. And he's like, the what? And they're like, he goes to the bathroom and he comes out and he goes, there's no toilet paper in there. And they're like, you use the 3 seashell method. And he's like, what? And they're like, yeah. So every time you'd cuss, it would give you these warnings and it'd spit it out on paper. So he went over and started cussing at the machine, started spitting out these little pieces of paper. So I went here and used those. But it was funny because I would say that the real younger kids would be like, what?
Right.
I was like, yeah, seashell. And I was like, just stand there and think about it for a
Was
while.
that Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone and
Oh, yeah,
Wesley
yeah.
Snipes.
Yeah.
And Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like one of my favorite 80s movies.
Probably up here.
I was going to say, these are part
It
of
might
like
be
a
here.
soundtracks and
It
stuff
might be here
for the
somewhere.
movies? Is that what these are?
Some of them are.
Yeah. Or if they worked on the sound,
Yeah. Or
because these all represent someone who's graduated from here.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Gotcha.
the little plaque underneath tells you who and what
Oh.
they did.
Okay, I see now. That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
And some of them were like, they didn't actually work on this album, but they like did the tour for that
Yeah.
album. They did sound for the tour.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
all that's, so it just differs by the plaque.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Old Kid Rock.
9 Inch Nails up there. Oh, Smashing Pumpkins.
You know,
Insane.
it all the other ones, like we talked about the cassettes and the 8 tracks and that, I'm surprised we're away from CDs. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
The
Like-
CDs was supposed to be the thing that was
That
going to
was
stay
revolution.
forever.
Like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
forever. I remember what we had one period of time where they tried to do the smaller CD with the little
The
ones.
CD singles or
I
maybe
forget.
mini
They were
mini
like-
discs.
Yeah, they were like a mini disc and everything.
Yeah.
That didn't go over well. But I never. I mean, I'm glad we don't have to carry them folders around no more and everything. You know, try to flip through those while you're driving down the highway.
Yeah, that was some dodgy driving right there.
yeah.
Especially, I didn't have a CD player in my car, so I had just like a
Oh,
little
you had the
Walkman thing.
cassette that went
Yeah.
in, and then you ran
Yeah.
into your Discman or Walkman
So I'm
or
like-
whatever. Yeah, that's.
I got
funny.
to where I could do it without looking.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny stuff.
Hit the brakes too hard.
Well, you know, even with the cassettes and everything, when they came out, you know, where when you were fast forwarding, it would stop at the next song instead of just fast
Yeah.
forwarding. And
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're at the end. You're like, shit.
Yeah, right.
You know, when they came out with that pause right there, that was revolutionary.
Yeah, and then they came out with those. Remember when the picture discs came out, the laser discs that they had? The
Oh
movies,
yeah,
and those big ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
for the movies.
Yeah, those things were crazy.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was like I remember my aunt having those. That was when I saw Flashdance,
Mhm.
the movie Flashdance. That
Mhm.
was on one of those.
Yeah.
Those didn't last that long either.
No, there's still those. There's still a couple of those players out there.
Oh, yeah.
People still collect them, but
Yeah.
they're kind of expensive if you can get your hands on them.
Yeah,
That's where people get like the original versions of the Star Wars movies.
right,
Yeah,
They get them from the
those.
laser disc.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Because I mean, all the other copies have been destroyed.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
So
my
the special edition stuff.
JT, the oldest boy, he's into all of it. That the older, like even the movie that he just shot, he shot on 8mm, you know, and he loves using old technology and black and white and different things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why he's I don't know, it's just different, you know. Everything, you know. But he loves that. I think he's shooting a new movie now for another film festival and everything. And I think this one's all on his iPhone, but he loves shooting on when he did the music video for a band, Saving Grace, that he was going around and filming everything, like them getting on their tour bus and everything like that. That was all, they wanted it all on that 8mm because that's what they had saw of him. And that's what that's the look that they wanted and everything. So, but it's cool to, you know, I see him walking around the one day and everything, you know, and he's got the old camera, you know, on his shoulder and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's how we used to have to film Christmas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And at one point, that's how we listened to our music.
Right. Exactly.
Big boom boxes.
Yeah. Well, with like the, you know, the reel to reel, I remember, you know, great grandpa having that big ass film, but had the freaking silver light right here that was attached to it, the, you know, shine light, and everybody's opening their gifts like this, you know. It's so bright in the house, and then you could watch it back on the reel to reel, which is crazy. Cool. I appreciate you guys having me out here, man.
Hey, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for
good.
coming out.
Absolutely.
This was cool.
Yeah, it was a cool little conversation about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it worked out.
But he
good.
was like, what are you guys talking about? I was like, I have no clue. He said, we're just going to go talk. I'm like, all right, I can
Yeah.
always talk.